Welcome back. As we still wait for our guests to arrive, let me take you through the front page of the local dailies, starting with the front page of the Standard, of course. Putting city on sale. This is with regards to what happened yesterday, the collaboration between the national and county government. The Standard reports that Governor Johnson Sakaja's dramatic handshake with President William Ruto has sparked off a political storm in the capital. After vowing to make Nairobi quote-unquote work, the youthful politician now stands accused of quietly surrendering core county functions to the very center he once promised to challenge. Critics see echoes of the old NMS takeover. Allies call it pragmatic rescue. But for residents choking on garbage, traffic and water shortages, the 80 billion shillings deal feels like collaboration and more like an auction. That is a story on the front page of the Standard, and the gentleman on the front page is the governor himself, Johnson Sakaja. Okay. The story continues on the inner page. To Ruto in deal to revamp county, that is Nairobi. Governor signed documents letting the central government take care of street lighting and roads. The deal has that had all the hallmarks of NMS in Uhuru's regime has split opinions. And now, when he sought the office, the man appeared to have all it takes to be a good Nairobi boss. The charm, the quick smile, that would include a pat on the back. For supporters, the energy and clean-cut dressing style won many a hat during campaigns. But now it seems that it has gone the only way out. And now, only last week, Sakaja denied claims that a deal such as what materialized yesterday was in the offing. When Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna said it would be illegal if implemented, that the governor said that was fake news because no powers or functions had been ceded to the national government. And I remember having some late night call with my colleague Regina about this. The problem is that her mic is already off. We'd have gone back there. Regina, if you know. So Sifuna told Sakaja that for such a deal to work constitutionally, there had been a deed of transfer of functions which has to be improved or approved rather by the county assembly. So what it takes is that the 80 billion shillings cooperation agreement signed with the president administration comes at a time when the capital has been grappling with challenges such as ineffective garbage collection, incessant traffic jams, insecurity, poor maintenance of county infrastructure, and increased water shortages. That is what's on the inner pages of the newspaper here. So the national government takeover plan of the capital city is said to have started in September last year, shortly after MCs devised a plan to impeach Sakaja. And if my memory serves me right, the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga had to intervene and had a meeting with the MCAs as well as the county leadership to bring some sort of a truce between or among the warring factions in the county. And in August, Nairobi MCAs began collecting signatures to impeach the governor following a special meeting held on August 26th, 2025, where over 90 MCAs resolved to initiate the process. For the first time, UDA and ODM MCAs were united in their bid to oust Sakaja. That was last year, whom they accused of incompetence. During the special meeting, the MCAs also accused Sakaja of being out of touch with the challenges facing city residents. They also claimed that there were, no tangible projects 3 years since the governor took over the office. So someone would ask, is this politics at play to rescue the county government or the county CEO or the county boss, or is it a genuine collaboration to make Nairobi quote-unquote work? So now, how 80 billion shillings state Nairobi deal will transform city? This is it. After weeks of speculation, now the cat is already now out of the bag. Under the 80 billion shillings deal described as partnership between the national and county government, a team led by Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, will join county officials to oversee key projects across the city. All right? So the cooperation agreement signed at State House in Nairobi yesterday will see key areas, 4 of them, namely water and sewerage, roads, bridges and drainage, housing with related infrastructure development. That is about to happen. It also covers the areas to do with the street lighting, of course, solid waste management, and the regeneration of Nairobi rivers. Of course, remember, the president has been talking about, cleaning the entire stretch of the Nairobi River, which had actually begun in sometimes last year. And now there was even a committee which was formed to oversee the process of cleaning the entire Nairobi River. So this is also going to be part of it. The steering committee will oversee the projects, which will be chaired by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, coordinating the national government ministries and agencies deputized by Governor Johnson Sakaja. So the chair is Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, and the vice chair will be the governor himself, Johnson Sakaja. The team will include cabinet secretaries alongside county staff. Now, this is what's going to happen. The day-to-day execution of the programs and projects, however, will be handled by the implementation committee, which will be chaired by the governor and comprising principal secretaries from the national government as well as county executive committee members, overseeing corresponding. There is no ceding of, okay, it's a seed of power, but then now there is no handover as that is there. But then it's just a collaboration to make the Nairobi County work. How it's going to work is a matter of time and wait and see. All right, let me come back to when it comes to matters floods. Remember, there was some flood victims some years back in Maimahi. They're saying that they're still waiting for help to come from the national government. Over 60 deaths actually occurred during that time, and they are now seeking answers, as many as some of them suffered physical and mental trauma. 2 years later, they blame the Kenya Railways for the incident and are also still actually demanding action to prevent such kind of future tragedies. This happens even as Deputy President Kithure Kindiki led resettlement program distributing title deeds and 20,000 shillings each to 105 affected landowners. Many are yet to come to terms with the effects of the tragedy that happened 2 years later. All right. So this is what's happening when it comes to matter security. Security team recovers 18 guns, hundreds of stolen livestock in Isiolo crackdown. That is some good news there. That is the latest haul brings the total number of illegal firearms seized since the operation began 2 weeks ago to 23. 23 guns so far seized. The exercise, which targets illegal arms, cattle rustling, highway banditry and related crimes, has also led to the recovery of huge amount of stolen livestock. That is what is in Isiolo. Good news, and we hope that it's going to stop. Now, the Council of Governors and the Treasury are actually on collision course as Council asks for 534 billion shillings. The Council of Governors is actually proposing that counties, all the 47 of them, be allocated 534.96 billion shillings. The Treasury wants to allocate 420 billion shillings, just 5 billion shillings more than last year. Remember, there has been a lot of back and forth between the county government, that is the Council of Governors, and the national government, plus the Treasury, to allocate more funds to the devolved units. And now they have actually raised that figure from 420 billion shillings, all right, to 534 billion shillings, perhaps in the next budget. The revenue that the county government wanted allocated to them, the amount of share was 115 billion shillings. That was a revenue battle between the two bodies, that's the COG and the National Treasury. The amount shared revenue allocated to county in the last financial year was 415 billion shillings, but now they want that money raised. So the Council of Governors is proposing that counties be allocated 534.96 billion shillings as equitable share, while the Commission on Revenue Allocation recommends that they get only 458.94 billion shillings. Now, the National Treasury proposes an allocation of 420 billion shillings. So clearly what it is that there is going to be a bit of some boardroom negotiations, back and forth correspondences as to what the county government should get and what the National Treasury is proposing to be given as the equitable share. So the COG chairperson, Ahmed Abdullahi, said that the proposed allocation represents just 106.7 billion shillings increment, comprising of 35 billion shillings being an adjustment for revenue growth. The 8.94 billion shillings budget requirement to transition of the universal health care workers, which has been a very big thorn in the flesh to the county government. So the Wajir governor said that under the draft budget policy statement, ordinary shareable, that's basically the shareable revenue, is projected to grow from 2.64 trillion shillings in financial year 2025-2026 to 2.98 trillion shillings, which is 13% growth, and 342.6 billion shillings in absolute terms. So that is basically what's there. Whether it is going to work in favor of the county government is a matter of wait and see, as that is still under process. So President pledges to raise education budget to 65 billion shillings. That is, President William Ruto has announced that the education budget will be increased to 765 billion shillings in the next financial year. All right. Speaking during the inaugural graduation ceremony of the Nairobi National Intelligence and Research University, the president said that the increased allocation will support ongoing education reforms and help to stabilize funding gaps affecting the key programs in the education sector. Okay, to some news now. CS Mbadi now urges Sifuna and Babu factions to consider ceasefire talks. He actually met the Luo Council of Elders yesterday, and that is from Nairobi, Council of Elders from Nairobi. And yesterday they said that they're trying to create some kind of synergy between the two factions. The Treasury Cabinet Secretary said that he's also ready to have a sit-down with opposing camp. ODM is currently split into two. We have got the Oburu Odinga faction as well as the Edwin Sifuna faction. All right. So the former ODM national chairperson is among pro-government ODM leaders who insist actually that who insist to support President William Ruto's re-election in 2027. Is also opposed to a faction led by Secretary General, that is Edwin Sifuna, and he also wants the party to field its own candidates. Actually, he is opposed to that, but Edwin Sifuna says that the party should field the candidate. Now, yesterday, Mbadi invited the Luo Council of Elders, Nairobi chapter, to his office at the Treasury, where he struck a more reconciliatory tone. The CS actually, in his speech, said that he was ready to have a sit-down with the Sifuna-led wing to try and understand their reason for insisting that they would not work with President William Ruto in 2027. All right. There's a lot of politics here, and there is a story here which says that Governor Wanga was booed in Kisumu, but insists that ODM is intact. The governor, who made an impromptu visit to Ahero Market, was booed by a section of the crowd as she addressed residents. A section of the crowd chanted Embakasi East MP Babu Wino's name, while others chanted anti-Ruto slogan. So that is politics. We just leave it at that. Why opposition postponed their retreat amid flag bearer dispute? There is an explainer here, as reported by The Standard, that leaders clash over scientific poll versus experience and regional influence. You remember yesterday, if you watched our yesterday's show, there was that debate where I asked my guests, that is Richard Bosiri was here. We also had Professor Emmanuel Mutisia, who was also here. And I asked them, and of course, Omwami, Wafula Mutacho, I asked them a question where the scientific method was going to work or popularity or experience. That is now being reported here on The Standard. So, you know, when it comes to picking a presidential or a suitable presidential flag bearer, there has to be a procedure. So one of them was a scientific method, which I asked yesterday. And now Kitui Senator Wambua accuses Matiang'i of creating confusion deliberately. Okay, that was supposed to happen last weekend. The retreat between Kalonzo Musyoka and DCP party leader, that is former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, but that did not take off. And it's also said that there are some warring factions. The much anticipated United Opposition retreat in Naivasha, originally scheduled for 2 days, has been postponed amid growing disagreements over the formula for selecting the presidential flag bearer for next year's general election. While opposition leaders insist that the retreat was delayed due to allow them to pressure Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja to arrest police officers who allegedly colluded with goons to disrupt a church service in Othaya, that seems not to be the case. Makwini Senator Dan Manzo said that the retreat was postponed to give the principal time to focus on ensuring that the perpetrators of Witima violence are prosecuted. But The Standard can now report differently. And finally, on politics, on The Standard, Speaker suspends MP Kibagendi over quote-unquote auctioned house remarks. Again, the reason why: he was actually barred from the precincts of the National Assembly, he was suspended from the House, and he was also actually barred from using his official parliament office. So until a written apology is submitted to the clerk of the National Assembly, of which the Speaker said must be verified to be to the standard of the National Assembly requests, so, and actually standing orders. So MP6 probe into controversial ownership of Miwani Sugarland. That's according to Suba South MP Mheshimiwa Karoli Omondi. That is what is here. All right, let me take you to the front page of the Daily Nation. Push for Ruto, Uhuru truce. There you have it. Push for Ruto, Uhuru truce. Just last week, there was also a report that there is a truce to reconsider and reconcile the two gentlemen, that is former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua. And now there's also a report here that there's a push for Ruto Uhuru truce. So is it a case of a ceasefire? President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta in recent years have had some frosty relations that never thawed even after the 2022 powers transfer. Lately, the tension between the two former allies turned rivals has only eased twice, albeit through short-lived public shows of camaraderie in 2024 and 2025. Last weekend, Ethiopia's Prime Minister, that is Abiy Ahmed, tried to reunite the duo. The question is, will the truce hold? That is what's here on the Daily Nation. It's also reported on the front page of the Nation that State House and Sakaja signed deal to run Nairobi County. City, President William Ruto and Governor Johnson Sakaja witnessed the signing at State House of a cooperation agreement to improve services in key areas and sectors of the county, but insisted that the arrangement did not mirror the Nairobi Metropolitan Service style kind of takeover, which was there. The story is there on the inner pages. Now, you remember the story about Kenyans joining the Russian army and perhaps war. So ex-soldiers among 33 Kenyans, new Kenyan recruits for Russian war. 3 ex-soldiers, not 3, ex-soldiers among 33 new Kenyan recruits for Russian war. Even though we've had a lot of complaints and, concerns as to how Kenyans ended up in Russia and actually into the military there, we can still see some of them making their way there. All right? So that is on the inner pages. I'll come back to politics when it comes to the truths. Ex-KDF soldiers among 33 fresh recruits in Russian war. It says that 8 Kenyans are either missing or dead, while the fate of 27 is unclear, according to the government. According to Ambassador, the lists locations where Kenyans are stationed, and now there's a lot of it. Tales from the war front, and basically what is happening. Mudavadi is expected to travel to Moscow for high-level talks on the backdoor recruitments and why this is happening, and perhaps whether it is legitimate, should it continue, should it be stopped. The Prime Cabinet Secretary is scheduled to travel to Moscow. This is because they are lured by the prospects of big payouts. The new recruits have also thrown, even as the number of Kenyan casualties rises. That is what is here. So there's a lot of apprehension that the missing Kenyans may never be traced, because returnees say that the people killed in action are often buried in mass graves, okay, at the war front. So a confidential brief by Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, dated February 9th, contains the latest figures. That is as of January 23rd, 2026. The mission has identified a total of 95 Kenyans involved in the Russian military operation. 95 Kenyans. And out of this, 27 have been repatriated, 8 are reported missing in action or deceased. And now 33 are new conscripts, while 27 remain unknown. That is the status, according to the report. That is what I have here. Let me come back to a bit of some politics, all right? The clash in Addis Ababa, inside mediation efforts to reconcile Ruto and Uhuru, private grievances, regional peace talks, and 2027 politics collide as AU leaders quietly intervene to stop Kenya's rivals from derailing diplomacy and domestic stability. And it is also, according to the Standard, is that in a quiet upset of diplomatic protocol, Kenya's simmering leadership feud burst into the African Union, that is Guild, corridors last week as President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta reportedly clashed in a closed-door meeting hosted by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, sanctioned by Great Lakes presidents. The high-stakes hurdle aimed to defrost their mutual chill and revive stalled peace negotiations in the Democratic Republic of Congo's Wharton East, a theater where Nairobi's steady hand has long been inseparable. So this inclusive reconstitution drawn from fly to the wall of counties or the multiple aids, participants and sources debriefing immediately after the closed door Sunday evening meeting on the sidelines of the 39th African Union Summit revealed that just personal bubs, but profound publication for Kenya's global standing. So is there a bid to close ranks between the two statesmen? That is what I have here on the inner pages of the Standard. And finally, before we take a break, ODM position weak in talks with Ruto. That is the inner pages of the Standard. Analysts say that most party supporters appear to have thrown their weight behind Senator Sifuna's team. So Osotsi say that the party founded by Raila Odinga should exploit its massive support to field presidential candidate in the 2027 general election. ODM position, quote-unquote, weak in talks with Ruto. That is here. ODM is actually intended to flaunt its traditional support base in numerical strength in parliament when demanding higher stakes in a pre-election deal with UDA. All right, so that is what it comes to the front pages of the Standard and the inner pages, as well as the Standard and the Daily Nation. Allow me to take a quick break. I need to have a cup of coffee. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. I have my cup of coffee, branded KBC. Now this power to the breakfast show. Let's do this on the front page of the Star newspaper. Okay. Kindiki factor, how DP fight is shaking ODM. UDA poll talks, that is on the front page of the Star. There's that Kindiki factor. Remember that pronouncement by ODM leader, that is Dr. Oburu Odinga. When it comes to the position of the deputy president, he talked about it, and that is basically why there is that line of power coming from. And ODM leader Oburu Odinga has said that his party targets the number 2 position. That is the base of this Kindiki factor, how DP fight is shaking ODM and UDA poll talks, the pre-election. And some of them are actually proposing that they need to have a pre-election coalition talks so that some of these functions are ironed out beforehand. Now, how is it going to affect the position of the deputy president? The deputy president, Kithure Kindiki, is intact and will remain with UDA and with him. And if I can paraphrase, the position of the deputy president, iko hapa, okay? And on this other side, ODM leader Oburu Odinga said that they are eyeing that position too in the executive. That is the position of the deputy president. So the Kindiki factor, how is it going to affect the UDA and ODM poll talks? That is the front page of the Star newspaper, and it actually continues on the inner pages on that position. Now, when it comes to the position of the deputy president, it is quite often clear that the position of that, the selection or who is supposed to be the deputy president is a person who is most likely to influence the win in the general election. When it comes to the county government, the selection of or picking a running mate most likely influences the outcome of an election. So it is a very thin line and a delicate balancing act, if you ask me, for the president and the ODM. Should they have that pre-election talks on who is going to be the next deputy president? So here it is on the front page of the Star newspaper. All right. It continues on the inner pages. And why battle for DP job could fracture ODM UDA poll deal? Why it would. And just waiting to see how it's going to happen. The thing is, there's a fierce political battle over President William Ruto's 2027 running mate is threatening to derail ODM UDA pre-election negotiations and fracture the broad-based government. And such an outcome could actually deal Ruto a political blow and hand the Kalonzo Musyoka Rigathi Gachagua-led united opposition a potent political weapon. That is what is here. In recent days, allies of Deputy President Kithure Kindiki have also drawn a line in the sand, vowing that it is either their man for the second highest office or no deal at all with the Orange Party. All right? Amid the headline, stands from Mount Kenya leaders, Raila Odinga's ODM has also grown more assertive, openly declaring its intentions to go for Kindiki's job. That is basically the position is here, and we all know how the position of Kindiki came to be and what's going to with UDA. Let's come back here. There's a story here. There's a caricature by the Star. Yeah, there's I don't know whether that vehicle is yellow. I don't know whether that vehicle is orange. And who is this gentleman down here? That is Orengo, and I see ODM and Uburu. There's Ngo, and there's Babuino on the other side. So I don't know how it's going to be. Yeah, so I've done all the three papers already. The Daily Nation, the Standard, and on the Star. So on the papers, that is what I have here. All right, so Mike, there is a question here. Do you know Mukhombero?
Yes.
What is it?
I think it's a route I see people, especially men, take. I've seen it being hooked along the streets of within the streets of Nairobi. Yeah. What is it?
Something like where's Laura?
There was a story I saw on the Star there. Something that urologist said. I didn't get the gist of it, but there's a story about it. Yeah, but I do know. I've seen it being sold on the streets of Nairobi. Yeah,
it's some kind of an aphrodisiac.
Okay.
And Mukhombero, we all know what Mukhombero is. But then now, you're right. Urologists say that there is no scientific evidence that the root treats erectile dysfunction. There is no scientific evidence that it treats. The key word is treats.
Treat.
Okay? Treats. So the erectile dysfunction, according to, is the inability to achieve or sustain an erection sufficient for sexual activity. But according to urologists, there is no scientific evidence. So I've seen a lot of
being sold. And speaking of erectile dysfunction, there was also a story that was saying, was it 1 in 10 men in Nairobi?
Yes. Is
suffering from ED, as it's called. So now with the proof that the science has not proved that it can deal with erectile dysfunction. I don't know how that changes the perspective of those who use it for those purposes. I don't know if that will change or it's a matter of belief, but science, I think, has spoken.
Science has spoken, and when it comes to scientific evidence, we have very little to talk about. Though, well, they say that it's being used for other purposes, but scientifically, it does not.
Yeah.
There's now scientific evidence that it actually treats erectile dysfunction. I was talking about the story about but for the DP job, which could actually fracture ODM and UDA poll deal. What do you make of this? Because is it a case of eating their own? Because now there's that internal wrangle for Kindiki DP seat. What do you make of that?
I think from where I stand, two things. ODM, from my perspective, is dealing with identity crisis.
You're right.
Identity in this sense, they have mastered the art of opposition politics. Now, with the absence or the exit of the party leader, that is the late Raila Odinga, they have to find their position, because right now they are in broad-based government, but there's a faction that is not within the broad-based government. Then you look at the talks that were the pre-election talks. On one hand, they say they do not have a problem with the current deputy president, that is Kithure Kindiki. And on one hand, they are saying it's the deputy president's seat or nothing. So from my own understanding, it's like they are trying to navigate the politics of now being, quote unquote, being in power versus what they are used to, politics of opposition. That is why you are seeing two factions within ODM versus ODM. So I think this is something that we are going to watch and see how it happens, but it's promising to be a very interesting time, especially when it comes to how politics are being played within ODM and how ODM is relating with ODA insofar as the seat of the deputy president come 2027 is going. Yes.
Great. So it's there you said it's ODM versus ODM.
Yeah.
And of course, they have got high stakes when it comes to negotiating the position.
Yes.
A lot of questions are being raised whether ODM should, if they unite and come back and form the strong and one ODM. The former late Prime Minister, that's Raila Odinga, once said that, who asked you that ODM will never have a presidential candidate?
Exactly.
But then now the question of having the slot of a deputy president is perhaps one of the reasons, again, why they're having the heat amongst themselves, what to go for and what not to go for. Some of them are still supporting the president's bid come 2027. That is CS Mbadi. We also have former Gunja MP, who is now the CS, or Pio Wandai, CS for Energy, saying that he's not going to run for another seat in Siaya County, but he's going to support President William Ruto's re-election in 2027.
Yeah.
So a lot of movement is expected to happen between now and perhaps August?
Yeah.
August, because once we hit the month of August into September, then it is now full throttle.
It's all systems go.
It's all systems go. It's now going to be turbocharged when it comes to politics, and it's super power that is going to be there.
And also, you look at ODM, it's the largest party we have in the country,
right,
and the most popular. You cannot ignore the expectation of members, and especially at the grassroots level. So there's the expectation that ODM is supposed to field a presidential candidate. And on the other hand, there are those who expect ODM to remain within the broad-based government. So it's a tough balancing act for ODM. You look at it from that perspective, it's a tough balancing act for them to meet the expectations of the members, and also in deciding the direction that the party is going to take, given the the high octane politics that we are used to in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see, it's not even about coming to that and querying the issue of the deputy president position, you know, for President William Ruto, the immediate challenge may not actually be on how to solve the position of the deputy president. It's actually to solve the issue of the enemy within.
Yes.
Okay? And who is this enemy within when it comes to politics? You know, with the 2027 election fast approaching, and for the politicians, there is no time left.
Yes.
It is going to be quite, you know, to solve the issue of the Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West. That is according to me, you know, the enemy within. How is he going to bridge the gap between the two sides, East and West? And that is going to be the biggest hurdle for President William Ruto. Perhaps, if you ask me, what he should be going for, and his, you know, think tanks, and how to, you know, to bring the two sides together. We all know former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua came from the other side of the mountain, and now when he was impeached, the position went to the other side of the mountain. So how is he going to bring the two sides together? Because one side will feel disenfranchised or shortchanged, politically speaking.
Yeah.
And now we also have former DP also turbocharging the mountain and saying that it's locked. It's going to be an interesting move.
It's going to be a very interesting time on the mountain because, well, the East and West narrative, if you look at the people who are really talking about the East and the West narrative, mostly it's CS for Public Service, that is Ruku, Honorable Ruku. But the narrative of East and West, I don't think it has, from where I stand, I don't think it has taken root, but it is going to be a very tough balancing act, especially for the sitting deputy president, to ensure that he comes out as a unifying factor within the mountain if they are to get or amass a good amount of votes from the mountain. On the other hand, the former deputy president has to ensure that the East and West narrative doesn't work out, because he also has to play a part in ensuring that both sides feel they are speaking from one point. So it's going to be a tough one, and as you have put it, that is something that the president also, given the politically speaking, he has to navigate, especially within the mountain region. And the politics of the mountain right now, you cannot really say there's that really narrative of East and West from where I stand, but it is there. Those undertones are there. Yes.
Okay, so politically speaking, you know, it's going to be a very interesting move, because you see the two sides actually taking their hardline stance.
Yes.
Mount Kenya taking the hardline stance that, you know, this is our position. And ODM also recently has come out quite assertive when it's come to the position of the deputy president, and also forming a pre-election pact with the UDA side.
Yes.
So this is it. The two sides, that is you know, led by Rigathi Gachagua being so strong, and also ODM also being so strong. The gentleman in the middle is President William Ruto and the UDA party. Why am I saying so? It's going to be the other side of ODM looking to have more of a constitutionally insulated positions. Okay? What I mean is, when you have a constitutionally insulated position, is that position of the deputy president or the president, as opposed to other positions which have, you know, the powers still lies with the appointing authority. If you're a cabinet secretary, you serve at the behest of the president.
Yes.
All right? You can get fired, you know, the president has the prerogative to fire and hire at whim. So ODM has that mindset that, you know, we are the biggest party in Kenya. So if you're going for a position, we must go for a strongly constitutionally insulated position. And that is why it's either position of the deputy president or the position of the president, of which the president said that he's also going to be looking for a re-election in 2027. No doubt about that. So it's going to be a tough battle when it comes to selecting who is going to be a running mate, of course, come 2027, when it comes to that. In interesting times ahead, all right?
Yes.
Let's come back to the issue of the governors. They say that they need 534 billion shillings or bust.
Yeah.
All right? Governors draw line in revenue battle. I talked about that in the last paper. This sets the stage for a fresh standoff with the National Treasury over revenue division. The Council of Governors is actually demanding 534.4 billion shillings as the equitable share for counties in the 2026-2027 budget. This sets the stage for another fresh standoff.
Yeah, that is
And backdoor consultations, Mike.
That is going to be quite, and I think it's going to be quite a spectacle, because this has always, we've seen this happen even last year when governors demand a bigger share of allocation to help them in moving projects within their own counties. So, and here they are saying Council of Governors is proposing that counties be allocated 534.96 billion as equitable share, while the Commission on Revenue Allocation recommends they get 458. The National Treasury proposes an allocation of 420. So you see, there's a disparity with the proposals of the monies that they want to get. Treasury is saying talking about 420. CRA is talking about 458, but on the other hand, governors want 534. So this, how they reach to a consensus, is what now remains to be seen, how they are going to go about it. That is something that I think we shall be following up and informing you accordingly as it unfolds. Yeah.
There's a story here as we finish. There's a man who killed Cain in 2013.
Yes.
Do you know the amount why the gentleman shot his nephew with an arrow?
Unfortunately, yeah.
So tunasema kwa Biblia Jesus was it was about how much was that in the Bible?
Jesus was sold for 30.
In this case, it was 30 bob. In this case, it was 10 shillings.
Yeah.
So he shot his nephew in 2013 with an arrow because of 10 shillings. Just 10 shillings.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's a case of emotional outburst or, but you see, hey.
Temporary insanity.
Yeah, 10 shillings.
10 shillings.
10 shillings.
And you know, that just points how a few seconds of a decision can impact someone's life, can change someone's life, whether in the good or in the bad. And in this case, within 10 shillings costs a life.
Yeah.
And
So
someone
that
has
guy
to
was
deal with
given-
the consequences.
Was given a life sentence in prison, but the prosecutor said that it was quite disproportionate. So he was given a 30-year jail sentence because of 10 shillings. Hey, control your emotions, control your anger.
Yeah.
Sawa sawa. Mike, tumalize hii maneno.
Yes.
Tumalize na power. Because Arsenal is still at the top of the table, it is we are still feeling so powerful. Huko juu.
Ati ulisema huko juu, it's very cold.
It's very
Lonely.
So lonely.
Wow.
At the top of the table.
I wish Ray was here to respond, because
No, Ray decamped.
do-
Aliona, she could not hold that pressure. Okay? So, but then she decamped from Manchester United.
she decamped.
Completely.
Okay,
Now
that's
she's a Gor Mahia supporter. Ardent Gor Mahia. From Manu to Gor Mahia. Hey, Ray
Did
Manyara.
she really decamp, or she has taken a sabbatical?
Kuelewa Regina ni ngumu. That was a veiled move. Okay. So it's high time for us to say adios.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I have got apology. I have to put it clearly. I've got apology from my guests. They've never snapped the show. Daniel Kanchori sent a message that he got stuck. It's been raining, and the other side of Kajiado, he could not make it because of the terrain. I think he said that he wants to be the senator of Kajiado.
Yes.
There you have it. So you have a job cut out for you.
Yes.
All right. Wakili, apology accepted, as well as Kevin Osido, who's also got an emergency to attend, a family emergency. This happens. That's what we call occupational hazard. It happens.
Yeah.
Apology accepted. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Victor Lowe. Power to the people.
My name is Mike Megwe. Get ready for another for interesting conversation that is coming to you in just a bit about transitioning to an inclusive green energy, and also talk about matters of climate financing. Stay with us.